come right to us, guys, because it'll be right
Do it.
up in just a moment. Hi, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Now, live from Chicago, the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Hal Sparks, your comedian and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hal Sparks.
All right, let's do this.
Good morning, everybody. We got a great show for you today. I'm very excited to be with you guys today for a bunch of different reasons. It is one of those, like, you're kidding me, right? Type of shows on so many fronts. Now, we'll start with the Udaho base in the Qatar base, and then I want to tell you what the Trump administration has said about what immigration enforcement is doing to food prices. You'll be shocked, I'm sure. But joining us today, not only is our dear friend Johnny Million, who's with us. How are you today, my fine sir?
I'm doing very well, but I'm even better because of the other person who's joining us.
That's right. Richard Chu is joining us from Chu's Views on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT. How are you, fine sir?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. Johnny, good to see you. Hal, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, this is exciting. I've got some news for you, too, but this is exciting.
Well, let's. Do you want to get that out of the way right away? You want to spread the news?
Yeah. Let me. It's news, but it's just kind of informative. So, I've been this past week. I've been off. I did not do my show this week. My wonderful colleague and friend, who you well know, Michelle Peltier, who's the co-host of the family meeting. She sat in and hosted for me this week, which was fantastic. My wife and I took time away. I hadn't taken any time off in almost a year, really significant time. So we're right now. I'm sitting in a hotel room in Toronto, Canada.
Oh, all right.
Broadcasting with you this morning. So that's a little bit of news. I'm excited to be on the show, but I'm doing this. I'm real proud of myself. Well, I have to give my wife her props for helping me get this set up so that I could do it in the hotel room and not make a boob of myself. But yeah, man, it's good to be with you guys. Good to hang with you.
Where's the fun in that? And first of all, having spent a good deal of time myself in Canada, basically being Canadian by injection, as I filmed Queer as Folk there and lived in Toronto for 6 years. I love the place. It's a joy to, like on so many levels. There are parts of the city I can't go back to because of the emotional damage done to me by filming in certain places. And I am not kidding that doing a drama show for that many years, standing on the same, in front of the same building, having your heart broken 27 times in one day, right? Like, that's the thing of being on a dramatic TV show, that there are parts of that city that still wreck me. And yet I still love it so very much. And now I think that's very cool. Thank you for being. You're ever so slightly muffled, I think, audio wise, but I think we can hear you, so that's fine. And the volume's good, so we'll see what that is. Yeah, but
right.
here's I don't honestly know where to start with the. I think we should start with the maggot meltdown. So this week, Trump had a doctor's appointment where he had they used, quote, advanced imaging on him, which means CT scan or MRI. I'm going with CT scan because the idea that they, that he got an MRI and it wasn't bigger news or didn't leak out or something I would think that might slip out, although I don't know. But that points to that this is not his.
You mean that he didn't leak, or that it didn't get leaked, that he was in the first place?
Yes, that sending him to the MRI, somebody would have seen him en route to that process and maybe even talked about it. Whereas a CT scan is not that uncommon. You can do it in one of the regular rooms they have there. And so the issue though is that he was trying to sell it as this it's his semi-annual physical or whatever. Like, no, that's not a thing. That's not how that works at all.
You went there You got some sort of treatment that's going to keep you alive, my man.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
and he's got to travel to. They're talking about having traveling to Israel or to Egypt next week to have this signing with 1.2 parties in this peace accord that he's going to do, because there's no way the Hamas leaders are going to sit in the room with Netanyahu and sign a piece of paper that will get them killed when they go home, or just allow them to be, Putin'd on their way out of the building. It's just a little silly.
Right.
Not
gonna happen.
No. And then he got his devil horns picture, and then they also shot a picture of his hand where it was particularly caramelized, and he had two of the veins on the side of his hand were like super pulsated, because it looks like they have worn out. If they're using it as a port, they have worn out some of the veins on his hands.
I saw on The Onion that they determined that he has more bones than any previous president.
Yes. Well, his head is solid. I think that was part of it. So them hiding his physical ailments and his obvious, brain fade that's happening in real time. What's your take on, the behind the scenes worry that's going on around him, both in the cabinet and in the world of MAGA?
Well, I think, and again, Hal, thanks for having me on, Johnny. Good to see you, man. Listen, this dude is certainly somebody that has medical conditions, medical issues that we don't want anybody else to be. I'm fair-minded, and I think I'm fair-hearted. I don't want anybody going through any medical stuff. It sucks when we're not feeling well. It sucks. You guys know this. You travel a lot. You're all over the place. We don't like feeling sick and ill, and I don't want that for anybody, even if the dude is a piece of you-know-what when it comes to how he's treated America and the world and all the rest. So I don't want that for him. But what I do want is for the people, to your question, that are behind him, stop lying. They would, I believe, this is just me, I believe that the more powerful place and presentation for him would be to say, listen, I got this, whatever the condition is that I have. It sucks that I have it. But you know what? I'm your president, and I'm going to stay in this fight. I'm putting it up here to let you know, guys, I got this thing. It ain't nice, but I'm your president. I'm going to fight through it, and I'm going to set an example for how we fight through stuff. But that's not who he is.
Right.
So in the dark recesses of my mind of wanting to maintain humanity for all of us, that's what would be politically powerful as hell. Because if he came out and said, look, I'm sick as a dog. I got this thing. But I'm going to stay here. I'm going to fight for all of you because that's how we roll. But he's not going to do that. So now here's the dark side.
He's never weak. He's never wrong.
Yeah, well, that's the issue he has. Is that if he's never weak and he's never wrong, is what Johnny said, and that's the problem that he has with his supporters. It's not even really with our side. You know what I mean? Like none of this is like
we
us.
Would say,
yeah,
we're not. Yeah, he's actually too weak to admit that he has an issue, whatever it might be. He's too politically stupid to understand how that would strengthen him. And I've always said this, guys, that if Donald Trump had said during COVID, this stuff is bad early on, this is terrible, and this is what we got to do, he may have actually legitimately been able to win the 2020 election.
He would have.
So many folks would have run. I think I could be crazy, but now again, to stay on point with your question, Al, the people behind him are full of you know what. They are full of malarkey because they know this dude has got these issues, whatever they are. And the fact that they're propping him up, almost like, Weekend at Bernie, to make it through each day. Because you can see, like, there's days when he's really up, he's high, he's got the energy. He just came off the latest injection. And then by the time the day goes by and he has another press conference or another conversation with somebody, he's dragging and just, disgusting and nasty and all the rest of the things. It's a classic example of somebody that's gotten their injection, gotten their drug early in the day. As the day goes by, it wears off. They don't have time to re-inject it again without any tremendous downside that could possibly kill him. So he's got to come out and look like the fool that he is. And so I had the opportunity to interview Jake Tapper a week ago Thursday before I left town, and I asked Jake a lot of things. I kept it clean. I didn't really drill down on. I could have, but I got some questions in that I wanted to get to him about the next book that he writes. And my question to him was, okay, Jake, so you took the lead from the left and the right on your book, Original Sin. You got this new kind of spy thriller out that seems kind of interesting. We talked about that. We talked about a little bit of everything. But I asked him, I said, listen, all right, I got to pivot now. Let's talk about Original Sin. And not from the perspective that he wanted. I said, honestly, I haven't read it. I said, but what I want to know is, with all the access that you have to Biden and now to Trump, when is the book coming out on Trump's decline, Trump's medical issues, and all the stuff that you have to see when it comes to Donald Trump?
Right.
Because it's right in front of all of us. And so that's what's next for me. It's like, when is somebody going to say, we're not waiting for him to be out of office. We're going to write this thing now.
Agreed.
About how awful his health is.
Before we take a break, the thing that concerns me the most is not necessarily the physical, infirmity that goes with this or whatever, because, Roosevelt was in a wheelchair. The reality that I don't even have a problem with that. If a president was capable in mind, I would not mind if he did it from a hospital bed. It's, and he's basically a Skeksis at this point anyways. And so, he's the the leader of the Skeksis laying in the giant throne bed, while they're all going trial by stone, to decide between Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance who's going to run MAGA after he goes or fades away and takes one of the mystics with him. But the part that concerns me is that they clearly gack him up in the early part of the day. They have forever. I mean, he's always been a big fan of like speed and benzos, which is what people on The Apprentice would talk about. That he would be on Adderall and amphetamines and benzodiazepines to come down in this kind of chemical yo-yo. The problem that I have with the sort of mental impact of something like that is that as the day goes on, his impulse control goes, his decision making and his reaction to things is extraordinary, and that part of it is what in a president is the most concerning. I wouldn't care. I think it was in Buckaroo Banzai. The president in Buckaroo Banzai was in a spinal traction machine upside down because he was getting surgery or whatever when he comes to visit him or whatever. I would have no problem whatsoever if a president was in that situation. President Stephen Hawking doesn't bother me in that regard. Right? The physical part of it is, he's not going to have to dive for the nuclear football at some point. It's his judgment. And Trump's judgment clearly has a window where it's in line with what he thinks he believes, which you can have differences with, but at least it's what he says he believes. And then as the day goes on, it gets impulsive and angry and crappy, and he's still making crucial decisions. And that's the part that sticks out. Let's take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. I'm hearing like an audio chirp. Muffled? Yeah, it's still a bit muffled. Can you are you using the mic on your headset or the one on your...
I'm using the earbuds, but I'm going to take them out because
that's so much better.
Way better. 100%.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, because these things, you never know how they're really working until somebody tells you, Richard, they suck.
Well, they're great for hearing so that you don't get feedback, but the mic on your phone or whatever you're using is way better. That's so much better. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm using my phone now. I just went to the phone. My iPad decided that it was going to be like the redheaded stepchild or the nappy-headed stepchild and say, we're not going to work for you, Mr. Joe.
Well, that's it's the updates are coming hot and heavy right now, and Apple has just put out a $2 million bounty on hackers that are apparently trying to, getting the beta updates and then messing around with things, trying to find sicking AI on it. So it's less of a problem with Apple products, but it's becoming slightly more of one. And so the precautions are what's slowing things down. That's because Apple's taking every possible precaution. Yeah. So let me look at the.
Well, I mean, they kind of have to, given the fact that they stepped in it, in my opinion. But
right.
So
yeah. And now the next thing I want to talk about in Chicago, can you? Okay, yeah, is the Trump. Well, I'll bring it up, and, but this is.
This is Tom Hartman, and you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
So I know this is hard for Richard Chu, who's continuing with us from Chu's Views in Chicago. He's actually in Canada right now. He's not escaping. I don't want you to think that the country is falling and that he's decided to bug out.
I'm gonna miss you, buddy.
Yeah, and
hey man, believe me, that conversation has been had, but we're not gonna pull the trigger.
That's right. Well, it's funny, but I'm more of the people who are like the what I would call the America Last Left, the people who are hell bent all the time on making the Jimmy Dores of the world, TYT, that crowd. It's one thing to think that America has done awful things and we need to remedy them. It's another thing to think that we are the source of all the evil in the world, in which case I don't know why you stay.
That's my job.
Right. Right. Why would you stay? Why? But anyways, that's a conversation for another time that we will have. I have no doubt. But I want to bring this up because I loved this story. I fell over it this morning. So the Trump administration, by the way, in filings, and I'll read this to you because I know it's blurry on your end. That's the problem with sending it.
That's all right. No, that helped.
It's in the Washington Post, but the story was everywhere kind of this morning. Trump administration says immigration enforcement threatens higher food prices. Okay.
Meet consequences.
Why? Because restaurant owners in Chicago won't let the ICE agents come in for a meal or to go to the bathroom. Is that
Yeah.
Are you trying to connect those dots? I mean, what's up with that?
No, they're literally they filed a document. Labor Department filed a document entitled. Let's scroll down. This is a ginormous document. Adverse effect wage rate methodology for temporary employment of H-2A non-immigrant in non-range, I love that, occupations in the United States. This is what happens. This is the government that goes on behind the veneer of government that everybody thinks. Like when people think the government isn't doing anything, the government's doing a lot of stuff all the time. It's kind of like the terms of service on your phone plan. And, there's a lot there. And this whole thing, after, it is pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages. But the crucial part is a section that says, in the document, it says that the federal regulator, the near total cessation of the inflow of illegal aliens, and this their wording, is threatening the stability of domestic food production and prices for U.S. consumers. And I'm just like, duh! Like, what have we been saying?
Right.
Like, what? And listen to this. Unless the department acts immediately to provide a source of stable and lawful labor, this threat will grow.
Shut up.
With increased funding for immigration enforcement it's like Elizabeth Warren wrote this. It's amazing. With increased funding for immigration enforcement from the One Big Beautiful Act, the Labor Department said in the Federal Register, they said the department concludes that qualified and eligible U.S. workers will not make themselves available in sufficient numbers. Translation, these people do the jobs that Americans don't want to do, is exactly how every Democrat everywhere has been describing the essence of this problem. It blew my mind.
Is there like a legal response that is an appropriate synonym to well, duh?
Yes. There are a couple of them, and we will suggest them over the course of the show, where I think Democrats need to file some paperwork, even if there's nothing in session. Mm-hmm. Like, Democrats can come forward and go, I am going to, as soon as we come back, I'm going to introduce on the floor this bill. Like, whip it up. And it doesn't have to be the full thing. They're going to reject it anyways. So, it can be nearly performative, but just thoughts on that. Like, I was falling all over the place reading this article because it was just one of these things like, what has What have we been saying for a decade and a half, like specifically?
Right, not just now. Right,
Yeah.
not just since Knucklehead took office in January, but we've been saying versions of this, Johnny and Hal, for a long time. Like,
right?
Listen, stop messing with these folks. Help these folks be better situated to work with decency and humanity, and let's figure out a way, because we know, let's be honest. Cats like the three of us aren't going to do the work, and that's not placing any denigration on the work. That's just saying we aren't going to do it. We aren't,
right?
And that's, I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent. But the reality is, if you have a resource, a human resource, human capital that's willing to do the work and do it for a wage that's reasonable given the work and the environment and all that, then why don't we use the smarter part of our brain and say, okay, let's foster that and make it better so that everybody benefits.
Mm-hmm.
But what if people could actually, I'm sorry, Richard. What if people could actually understand that they are not taking benefits away from anyone? The hoops that you have to jump through to apply for any kind of medical help, any kind of unemployment, you have to these are documents that like most citizens who've been here forever have a hard time coming up with.
Yeah.
Right. And so, no, I was just gonna tie in with Johnny there. Let's make it easy for folks. I mean, why do we have to make stuff so doggone hard? And oh God, I'm sorry, man.
I'm gonna yes and, as my Chicago Second City training has taught me to do. Yes and. This is what Hillary Clinton said when all the talk about open borders. Who wants open borders? Open borders. Okay, that phrase, that open borders. We need an open border. We need it for H-2A workers. That's what she was talking about. She was talking about migrant workers so they can come over and work and then go home, so they don't have to sneak in and stay here and live under the radar just to get that work, and we don't have to pretend they're not here just to get the benefits of that labor. And so they can work here seasonally and then go back home. And look, any labor in this world where you have the right to quit and leave. I know when people talk about wage slavery and I have a real chip on my shoulder about the use of slavery when it's not slavery. Because slavery is a thing, and it's going on right now. There are 1.8 million slaves in Russia right now.
Oh, dang.
Trapped migrant workers who are in forced labor. Forced labor is slavery. And there's an element of that if somebody comes over here to work, and then you hold them and you depress their wages and you go, I'll give you enough to eat and live here, but you can't leave. That's slavery. So we're creating a system of slavery by not having a better system. So that in and of itself, it drives me bananas. But on top of that, Hillary Clinton specifically was talking about we need a system by which these people can come over and work during the seasons we need them, and then they can go back to their homes because they can trade their time for money at a rate that in their country benefits them. Because if they come over here and they get paid under like a lower wage, because that's the wage that they've negotiated, they can't live here on that year round. It's not enough, but they can live like kings in some cases, or at least upper management insurance executives in their own countries if they can go home, right? And then knowing that they can come back, but they don't dare leave. It's just, and she was so pilloried and Hillary, and so slammed because of this statement, when it's exactly what Trump's own Labor Department filed this week. It's exactly,
and so here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are again. I mean, and the part that's I guess combination of annoying and heartbreaking all in one is that I'm a Chicago dude. I mean, I'm a Chicago dude. I pat myself as being nice as pie.
Yeah.
But these dumb MFers just don't understand, or if they do understand, but they choose to, act differently. It's horrible because now we've got this article that says, oh, wait a minute. We had a problem here because our prices are going to go up and stay up because the time frame for them to come back down isn't going to be in line with if they suddenly said, well, yeah, we got to put these people back to work because our produce is too expensive. The time it's going to take, the lag time, I should say, for that workforce to be back and comfortable and not feeling like they're going to get snatched.
Yep.
And its relationship to pricing, we're going to be paying the higher prices for these items that they harvest for us for months. It's not going to happen overnight. They'd say,
that's
okay,
what Trump
wait a
ran
minute,
on.
Our bad.
More than anything else,
Right.
that's what he ran
And
on.
so-
Groceries. I'm going to bring down the price of groceries. You know, bacon, eggs,
And
lettuce,
MAGA
tomato.
And MAGA's just a bunch of punk you-know-whats. What Chrissy Teigen referred to him, that's now part of the congressional record, which even though we can say it, I respectfully won't. But
Thank you.
MAGA's just there. They just are. They are all there because if you truly were standing on business as MAGA, then you would be holding Donald Trump's feet to the fire.
Right.
Or holding them accountable. They would be up in arms because you would think if that's what they really believe, but it just goes back to show what I've been saying for months now, and you guys have been saying it too. This was never ever about pricing. It was never about protecting the border. It was never about any of that.
It's about race.
It was truly about my four legs of the stool: racism, sexism, Christian nationalism, and privilege. It's about that. Because if they truly felt like, wait a minute, we got duped and this has got to change, then they would fix this overnight. They would be storming all the state capitals in the red states.
That's right.
They would be in DC.
Well, let's take a break.
Holding their own little.
We got to take a break real quick, but there are two things that I want to address about Trump's promise. This idea that I've been saying since the election, that two trains have left the station on the same piece of track and they are headed towards each other, and they have been since the election, and there is no off-ramp. And we are seeing several of them strike, but the biggest one of all is the economic picture. We'll be back right after this. Every single thing, even I forget, it was like Josh Hawley last week, whenever he's not just clamoring around, they were spying on me or something, which I guess those guys get real nervous. I got to tell you, when they're
because there's video out there of them having sex with kids.
Right.
Of course they're nervous. I do too.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You notice that, if somebody was like, we got your phone records, I wouldn't like it, I guess.
Like,
but
okay.
I wouldn't be, what the hell? I'd be like,
can you find that message?
I ain't worried.
I'd be like, that's kind of rude. It's kind of like that. I'd go over and close my drapes. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Listen. The only person that I care
you're
about
not impressed.
History.
Right.
My wife has my sign on to my phone. And so if I ain't worried about her seeing who I've called and who I've texted, and blah, 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 I ain't worried about anybody else.
Oh,
I mean,
Exactly.
Well, that's
my
why
wife needs more pins. If she needs in there, whatever.
That also
never do it.
That also explains the cashless society fears that they have versus crypto. Because for the longest time they were like, they're trying to drive us to they're trying to drive us to a cashless society. I won't be able to pay a hooker with cash. I'll have to use a credit card, and people will know that Jimmy Swagger. That's what it was. Yeah, and now it's crypto.
Yeah.
And there was a huge crypto whale buy and dump around the Argentina thing. So Bessent's got to go to jail after all this is over. That'll be a thing for the future. But we're coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. What was that? All right. Okay.
Are we back?
Are we back, Chicago? I didn't hear the music.
Now back to Hal Sparks on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT AM.
We do have audio from Trump's CT scan earlier.
River.
There it is. Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
So we were talking a little bit during the break, but I want to be really clear that there are competing economic rules, gravity, reality, that the Trump administration if they didn't know they would run up against this, people give him credit for being a flim-flam man, for being a con man, for being able to sell something to people. And if that's the case, then he just knew that you'd have to think, I'm going to be out of here by the time they wake up to the con. You know what I mean? Like you don't marry someone for their
smash
money.
And grab.
Yeah, you've got to bug out after.
Smash and grab, get in, get out, and they ain't going to catch me.
That's right. 2 days after the prenup is up, then you file for divorce, right? And then you have an affair, then you get half, right? That would be that's the con part of it. But you got to have an exit window that actually works for what you're saying. Like, I'm going to be out of here before they figure this out. But the problem with this economic policy is that it was going to start causing troubles immediately, and they were just going to get worse. Not just in the battle about tariffs, like, stock market went down like 2% yesterday because of his 100% tariff threat on China. And by the way, still a rumor whether or not Xi Jinping has had a stroke, but it looks like it. It increasingly looks, that news is going to be, and I said if he made it to November, it'd be a miracle. And so I'm right on schedule, I think. He may be fine and shuffling around, but it's either Zhang Youxia, which is the head of the military, the PLA, which is, again, not the Chinese army. It's the Communist Party's army, and that's what Trump envies. Just another conversation for another time. He wants the army to be the Republican Party's army and MAGA's army, not the army of the Constitution and protecting the citizenry. That's what they have in China. That's what he wants. But then there's Li Keqiang, who could be a reformist again and take some pressure off Taiwan and that kind of stuff. And so there's a jockeying that will happen, and we shall see. But one of the reasons why there's this back and forth right now is because I think they see blood in the water around the Chinese leadership, and there'll be a weak point where they might be able to leverage them. So they're ratcheting this up. This is going to be a fight. So in the interim, two economic problems that you have. One is labor costs are a large portion of whatever goods and service you're getting. So who's doing it and for how much is 60% of the cost in some cases, especially when it's electronics or highly complicated, manufactured elements, because a lot of things that are, quote, made in China are just manufactured in China. It's different. It's not, they aren't they're assembled, I guess, in China would be a better way of saying it. And that's a crucial part of this. And so the assembly costs, whatever that is a major factor. And if you can do it for cheap and you can automate it and you can do it both, which is what China has been cornering the market on for the last 20 years, if you can do it cheaply and then start getting the human element out of it, you can put everybody else out of business. And that's what they've been working on doing.
Right.
In the interim, though, if you can't do it that way, if your people expect a living wage or need it to survive because of the cost of living, or you don't have, company stores or something like we had back in the mining era and lumbering eras of the Northwest, the price of the goods is going to swell to the cost of the labor that you need. Period. End of story. Yep. And it's going to stay there. It's not going to go up and then simmer down and settle out at some point. It's going to jack up. You move factories here. First of all, you've got the expense of moving the factory or building a fresh one. And then you have the cost of the labor involved. And in most cases, now, like I talk about this with our dear friend Rob Glenn at Root Design in Chicago every Friday for my Friday Eye Show. And there is a crucial factor in this, is that America has effectively AI'd away a bunch of jobs already by using assembly in China and assembly in India. That's what we did. We outsourced to a lower cost worker that was smart enough to do the job and that we could trust to do the job, but wasn't another American. That's what it was. And as AI starts bringing stuff home, there is going to be an industrialization around a lot of things. Otherwise, things will be intolerably expensive. Laptops will be $7,000. Desktop computers will be $20,000. A cell phone will be, $3,000. That's what's going to happen unless in these new factories that Trump wants to set up and that he's been talking up, you automate all of it. And if you do that, the thing that goes with that is you might bring the prices of the goods down, but that's zero jobs. And that is the trend. These car factories he's talking about bringing here, these AI factories, which are giant data centers, have like 9 people in them. They're like vending machines. The Mexico factory that he was like, my friend, like, well, you want to show me the greatest car factory in the world? And the guy goes, well, we'll have to go to Mexico. And he's like, I don't want to go to Mexico. I want to see the one here. Remember that crap? Right? Okay, where did that come from?
I do.
That factory has like 8 people working in it. Like the Chinese electric car factories are dark. They don't even turn the lights on because there's nobody with eyes that needs to get around.
These technocrat boys want this so bad because it allows the investment that comes from any of the government levels, whether it be on a local level, state, or federal, to go right into their pockets because they get the tax benefit for quote building the factory. Mm-hmm. Then they don't have the labor costs of maintaining the factory or growing it, et cetera. There's no generational opportunity for generational work and wealth. All these things are eliminated, but it's what the techno bros want because it's sort of like. At this point, we go back and ask the question, who killed the electric car? I said back then, the reason that the electric car isn't taking off is because the big boys and girls, but mostly boys, hadn't figured out how to put themselves into the mix so that they could control the output.
Yeah, that's
what AI is doing. And with factories, it's going to be even worse. And the thing that to your point earlier about, what America can't get their head around is we don't have enough intellectual prowess right now from everyday citizens that recognize, damn, this is going to be a problem. We have so many people that are caught up in this conversation around these people coming from the southern border are going to take my jobs. They're going to come to my neighborhoods and tear up my neighborhoods. When in fact, the tearing up of the neighborhoods and the taking the jobs is coming from the dude down the street who's got all this techno skill.
From Elon Musk.
And those are the people that are taking the jobs and taking the opportunity and destroying your communities all in one swoop. But they're too doggone stupid to recognize it's not some brown-skinned guy or gal coming from the southern border. And it's so simple. This is the thing, Hal and Johnny. It's so doggone simple. It just is so simple that it's become difficult for people to see because they can't believe that they have been hoodwinked in such a simplistic, easy way. They got these folks to think it's all about this invasion from immigrants and all these bad people that are brown and all these people that are religiously upside down. And now suddenly everything that they said was near and dear to them has been taken away or being taken away, or to your point, there's not going to be any future in this so-called mythical manufacturing environment that they want to believe in. It just doesn't exist, and they're too damn stupid to realize it.
During Eisenhower was the famous first purge, Operation Wetback, which they gathered up all the Mexicans that were working over the border, and they deported about 1 million. 1.1 million is the thought. Almost all of them were men. Now, the women, by and large, who would come here, stayed for a couple of reasons. One was we now think of when we think of the jobs people don't want to do, we talk about harvesting crops, picking fruit, and working in processing plants. That is how we imagine migrant workers work here. If you hear the conversation for the last 20 years, that's what everybody talks about. Well, it's been that way since almost 1960. It's about picking crops and bushels of apples and oranges and that kind of stuff. It has not been about plowing the land. That's what they used to do. Now, why not? Because after World War II, the production in the United States, the industrial production, which was the last factory base in the entire world that was sort of left after World War II, and especially European-style manufacturing, we were the last game in town.
Right.
We stopped making tanks and started making tractors. And the availability of the tractor to like and the price of it going down, because all technology is deflationary. No matter what it does, it will always come down in price, move up in speed and quality, because that's the nature of advancement in that field, and that will never change. No one will ever get points for making a slower computer and in competition with anybody else. So the same thing is true of tractors. More features, more safety, whatever. That's always been true. As soon as a regular farmer in Oklahoma could afford a tractor, that eliminated 5 men he needed working in the fields during a shift. Mm-hmm. And with that tractor, he could do 4 shifts. And that's just one farm. So then came the myth of the lazy Mexican man. All the cartoons you'd see back in that period of time, 1950s, early 60s, about them sitting with their sombrero down over their head, waiting against a wall. Where'd that come from? That came from the men who were put out of work by that effective automation. That turning that work over to the tractor and pulling a plow as opposed to them doing the hard physical labor. So then it was, we got a bunch of idle men, and we need to get them out of here because they're going to start causing trouble. The women can stay. And then that's where you come up with songs like Down in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. Why is that? Well, because there were no men around for her to date. Because they'd all been sent
and here's
home.
the thing.
One more thing.
Here's the thing
before I get to that point, let me finish on just this one piece of it, though. There is a preemptive strike going on in the automation and technology world right now, that they look back on the history lesson that came from that, and that there were crime problems and violence problems and idle hands are the devil's workshop, and so they're looking ahead to, we're not going to need these folks in about 3 years, and the process is not going to be what Trump says of brooming people out like that, but it's going to take us 3 to 5 years to get the folks that were here who are not going to have a job anymore once this is automated out of the country, so they don't settle in and ironically become Catholic Republican voters, which they do by and large. The idea also, and then the idea also that the Republicans fear South American voters coming up here becoming Democrats is just dumb, because they are almost by and large they are paternalistic and patriarchal in their family structure. They are by and large Catholic, or at the very or Orthodox Christian. They are pro-life voters, almost single issue in that regard. So the idea that over time more Latino voters have voted Republican has to do with the type of people that are coming here and to work, because they're not coming here to farm. Yeah. They're coming here to work and start a business and become entrepreneurs and that kind of stuff. That's why these are the people that have $10,000, $30,000 to pay a coyote. Now, on the other side of the break, let's take a break. On the other side of the break, I want to hear what you have to say in response to that. I'm sorry I didn't interrupt you, but we're over the break anyways. We'll be back. There is just like, again, I talk in terms of these things, but like we talk all the time about Americans are going to be put out of work by automation and AI. The first jobs that are going to go are the ones that people don't want to do. And that's what we're talking about with agriculture. And there's tree shaking robots that can get apples and oranges when they're ripe off a tree. There's now strawberry and blackberry picking ones that are super fine and able to do it. These hydroponic shed kind of setups.
60 seconds.
Thank you. That's what's coming. It just is. It just is. Like there's no future, whether it's 100 years from now or 1,000 years from now or 10 years from now. Obviously, humanity is going to remove any dangerous, physically demanding, laborious, and boring work out of the workforce. It's going to be automated out. Like Star Trek Future, no matter when you get there, no matter what it looks like, there's nobody walking around picking berries unless it's on a tree they grew there in their yard that they like to do for the meditative process of I grow my own fruit. That's it. Like, that's it. And so these guys, the technocrats, are bulldozing towards that as fast as they can because AI is a super accelerator and they know it.
10 seconds.
What? 13 seconds. 8. I'm going with 5. You know what? I don't
I
believe
got
it.
8.
I don't believe it. Nope. Not. I don't believe it.
And that
Nope.
works.
Now, back to Hal Sparks on Chicago's Progressive Talk.
That was 30 seconds.
Easy.
Welcome back to the show. So, Richard Chu, thoughts on my idea that these giant car factories that Trump is extolling are going to be, vending machines, and that the villainization of the other has become a dying strategy as well.
Well, you listen, a couple things real quick, because I know our time is short. In way back order, when you were describing this, and you're spot on about it, it's similar to what happened during enslavement in this country. What I mean in terms of the gender piece. Let's get rid of the men. Let's make the men the problem, black men. And of course, all sorts of horrible things took place. We know that. And then as that became the card that was played by those who enslaved people, it was easy to say, well, they're lazy, they're dumb, they're syphilis. I mean, you guys been around the block, the conversation. Same thing happened. It was wash, rinse, and repeat. Let's make the black family unit. Let's destroy it. And once we destroy it, then we can control the ones that are the human output, which would be the women. And now the same thing's happening again with this current environment as it relates to our Mexican brothers and sisters. And so it's nothing innovative about it. It's the same thing that's been done before. Right. The difference now is technology, to your point. And I like how you threaded this, Al. Technology is the accelerant right now. AI, more specifically, is the accelerant because it limits the field of people who can be in the game.
Yep.
And by limiting the people who can be in the game, you then control the resources that are put into the game and then control what comes out of it. And that's clearly what these technocrat bros are doing. The other thing that comes to mind with this right now, and to your point about the politics of it, and this is where DeSantis and Abbott were such knuckleheads when it came to your point about voting.
Yeah.
I said months ago, did they not realize, I said this before the election, I said, did they not realize that sending those folks to a blue state, Illinois, for example, or blue city, Chicago, really was actually a counterproductive move because we know how to handle, we're one of the biggest immigrant cities in the world.
We can care for
We
them.
know how to handle that.
Integrate
We know how to
them.
navigate that. But what would have been a smarter move is to say, you know what? No, we're going to keep these people here in Texas. Guess what? Because we understand the social dynamics behind how they may ultimately end up being voters because of their religious beliefs. Their I just drew a blank, but
it's like their
social
family structure, right?
Yeah, I mean that just goes to show politically these guys are stupid because they didn't see.
Yeah,
let's make hell for JB and Brandon, and folks. But in actuality, had they said it from the perspective of, you know what? No, let's keep them here in Texas. Let's take care of them. Let's make it good for them. They will vote for our policies or our position. They don't have policies, but our position.
See, that's the problem with thinking with your brain. That's the problem with thinking with your brain and seeing with your eyes. Because there's a big, I notice this on our side a lot is that we project as well our understanding of emotional content, ethics, all that kind of stuff onto the other side, and it's a futile exercise. Like, because again, I've said for a long time, like being outraged in the streets, like showing your anger, does not dissuade this administration at all. But mocking them, walking around with a giant, butter statue of Trump naked, or rolling the Epstein Trump, statue down the street. That angers him because that means you're not taking his threat seriously. And that's where he becomes provocative, not you. And so he can't use your anger as an excuse. And there's always been this stupid thing where like, if everybody's mad, you must be doing something right, which is the goofiest, laziest, stupidest idea in the world. Like it bothers me like when people throw that around. No, you should you should be making the right people upset effectively. Like the people that are mean the most ill in the world. If those people are mad, because I got news for you. Ted Bundy upset everybody. He wasn't doing anything right. So it just drives me crazy. So, but to your point, there, South America continued slavery past the United States. The United States stopped it 1860-ish. And yeah,
right. That's the right way to put it.
That's right. And a laborious process to remove it because it was the standard for humanity forever. Cherokee tribes had black slaves on the Trail of Tears. They were allowed to keep their slaves for 10 years after. That's one of the other reasons ish. South America was full of it, though. And one of the bad things about slavery, and I know this is going to upset any right-wing listeners out there because they don't think there are any, but one of the worst things about slavery is that free, cheap, but for the ethical cost, labor that you get keeps you from innovating your way out of it. This availability of people that you don't have to learn a skill yourself. You don't have to teach that skill to your own children. You don't have to convince other people to do the job, so you don't have any skills of gathering a crowd together. And so you have fluctuations in South America of rise and fall of their government where there's borderline full collapse every few years. And part of that is because that is the result of slavery. Spanish is not the indigenous language of South America. I'm sorry to tell you people, it's not the natural language. It is a European country. Spanish, not Mexikish. It's like, for God's sake. And one of the things you learn is that anytime you use other labor to do, you exploit other people for labor that they should require skill, and you respect the labor that they put in, even if it's physical labor that seems repetitive, just the heart to do that every day and the ethics to show up and earn the paycheck in the agreement that you made. That's a respectful thing to do that all of these workers do under the table and under fear of ICE. They show up every day to pick strawberries and avocados and almonds and all this kind of stuff, so you don't have to pay $30 a piece for an avocado. That and so the lack of respect is partly what drives me crazy. I mean, beyond that. But you will, we're going to see Elon Musk, one of his big setup early this year was he's planning on either the Optimus robot or robots in general that they're working with, the Optimus system that they have in the cars and all that, to drive a lot of these automation machines, not just in factories, but on farms. That's where they're moving. Everything you've seen on a car factory is now moving to the farm. That's going to happen, and they want to be ahead of it. So you can't do that unless the demand is there.
Well, that's the other reason why, and this is a conversation about that we'll have to have at another time, obviously. But the advance and these boys are investing in and they're buying up these farms. That's why they're driving them down. That's why they're killing them out, because they want to kill them out, have the land, have the ability to go in and do exactly what you just said, but do it without person labor. They want to do it without that, and that's the crazy part of the deportation conversation, is that they want the country to feel the pain for the time being, and by driving down,
so that they come to them for the solution.
Right. And by getting rid of the quote people that are doing the work right now when it comes to farming and agriculture, we get rid of them. And then we come in with our technological solution. We can charge what we want to charge because people are still going to need to have what they're going to have to eat. That's the part that we're talking about it, but on a national media scope, they're not talking about it from that part, because they're not talking about the subversive part of it, which is exactly what you just laid out, how they want to drive down the labor, not the cost of labor, but the persons that will actually do the labor by getting rid of them. And then if crops die, if farms die, they don't give a darn. They're going to come in and swoop up that land, swoop up that resource. And here we go. Then they can come back in and be the solution, or try to be the solution.
That's right. So, we only got a couple of minutes. Yeah, I know. We only got a couple of minutes left, and I want to remind people that not only does he have a great show on WCPT, Choose Views, but also a great Substack. It's Choose Views from Richard Chew on Substack. It's richardchew.substack.com. If you want to go there, read stuff, subscribe. You have your interview with Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton on there. which is fantastic as well. That's one of the most recent ones.
Thanks.
So please check that out, everybody, if you would. richardchew.substack.com. And then, of course, one of these days I'll come on your show and eat some of your airtime blathering about the fact that robots are going to take over because my name is from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Well, let's do it sooner than later.
Yes,
seriously,
I insist. And okay. That on that note, we'll be back right after this. Also, after the show today, after hour 2, Johnny Million will be live streaming, and I'm gonna throw to him after the show today. For those watching online, if you're on Twitch. Or your kids are on Twitch, you can figure that out. We'll also throw to his YouTube channel as well at the end of the show. We'll be back after this. Thanks so much, Richard, for being with us today, brother, and enjoy Toronto.
Good to see you, man.
The Greektown area is amazing. The food is spectacular. Toronto's like Cincinnati if you dropped it in the middle of Europe, and every neighborhood was 100% authentic.
It is. It's been great, man. Been great being here. We've been all over Canada. We were up in Montreal. We were in Quebec. It's been fantastic. So thanks for having me on, Johnny. Good to see you, man. Glad you're well. Hal, stay safe, brother.
Absolutely. We'll be back after this. Thanks for coming on, Richard. Hold on one second. And
You're so cool.
Yeah, very cool. And where are you right now? What city are you in right now?
Literally, we're in Toronto right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so we started the trip. We started the trip in Albany, New York. Drove up to Quebec. Spent a couple days there. Drove to Montreal. A couple days there. Toronto now, and we're gonna head to Niagara, and then I'll be back in Chicago tomorrow, and then ready to do my show on Monday.
Great. I have to say, like, I wish I could tell you everywhere I'll find a list of things to go see. But one of the there are a couple of movies that really sum up my time in Toronto. One of them, and I'm blitzing on the name right now, which is driving me crazy. There it started based on a true story, but it was these 10 people decide during the winter who can stay indoors the longest because all the downtown buildings are connected to the subway via tunnels, and the tunnel goes to the mall, and the mall has a grocery in it, and so you never have to breathe fresh air. It's like because it gets so cold. It's like a space station. It's like a space station. Yeah. And so it's all about like who can do it the longest and how like the impact it has on them, over the course of doing it and how it changes their personality to not go outside. And some of them start cheating just to get like even it's cold. And then there's a movie called Kissed that won the Toronto Film Festival. I think the first year I came up there. Which is, it was like the first romance movie for necrophiliacs. It's about a woman who like is a necrophile and gets a job working at a morgue and lovingly takes care of the corpses or whatever. And it's done, and I was like, I thought Canadians were nice. And I have a VHS copy of it that they gave me. Because we were because I went to the awards ceremony for the thing or whatever. And it was in there, like a VHS copy of Kissed.
Wow, I gotta check that out, man.
But the big Queen Street Mall, and on Yonge Street is the Starbucks that I saw Prince in person when he lived up there for a while with his second wife. The only time I saw him in person in public, and it was just me, one other person, me, and one other person in Starbucks, and we exchanged a nod. And it was lovely. Mixing an album in a Starbucks. So you're awesome. Thank you so much, brother. And we'll talk soon. Yes, I would love. We'll be back. Okay, excellent.
All right, guys, be well.
Cheers. Thank you so much. There it goes. Look at that.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, let me get up.
Okay, Johnny, you're good. Okay,
you're good.
You're good. No, you're good. Let's see if this is lined up properly. There we go. I have like 5 different ways of like putting images on screens, and they're all in different areas on my monitor.
Oh no.
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Puss-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Well, I guess we should start off the show and by thanking Richard Chu again for being on with us, but also to give everyone the your annual COVID booster shot advertisement. Remember, get your COVID and your flu booster.
I just got it on Tuesday.
That's right, you did, and obviously since you did it on Tuesday, you weren't motivated by the president going and getting his while he was in the whatever, in the big device they put him in, whatever it was, on the iron lung. He has health problems. That's do you know what movie that's from?
Yes, no, I don't.
He has health problems. Does he still write, ma'am? He has health problems. I'll give you another clue.
Oh, nice marmot.
Okay. Nope. Did you hear that?
No. I did.
Hey, careful, man. There's a beverage here, huh?
Oh.
Brandon!
Now I've got it.
All right, good. So, yeah.
The Big Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski, that's right. Yeah, like, he has health problems. Like when they go see the son of you're killing your father, Larry. John Digby Sellers or whatever his name? Larry Digby Sellers. We're great fans of your work, sir. He has health problems. So, anyways, Big Lebowski, it's a comfort movie. It's one of my favorites.
It's so good.
But speaking of comfort, Trump was in extreme comfort over at Walter Reed with all kinds of tubes and pipes and stuff and I'm assuming practically every orifice. We have audio.
You using the whole piss, Doc?
He went over there for his semi-annual. So you'd have an annual checkup. The healthiest president in the world, right? Ever in the history of presidents ever being healthy at all. Twice as healthy as Barack Obama in the instant that he's shooting a three-pointer, hits a mid-court shot, and Trump is even healthier than he, but needs 2 health checkups a year versus everybody else, including Joe Biden, who really only had 1. Now, presidents get checked for all kinds of stuff. If they have the sniffles one day, like you're going to, pull them into a side room at the Oval Office, and they're, especially the number of people they encounter, you're going to, run all kinds of stuff on them as practice for the last 20 years. Since Bush and Cheney, really, there's been a paranoia about it. And post-COVID, it became obviously a big thing for the Biden administration, checking everybody, especially in the first year. But in general, to go to Walter Reed, that's a once-a-year trip, unless something's up. Something's really bad. Especially if you just announce it instantly. I'm going tomorrow for my semi-annual thing. I'm doing my semi-annual split. Because every year I go twice, and I decided to push the second one to October. That makes sense. It's a scheduled semi-annual thing, so I'm on So year starts in January. Maybe, I don't know, maybe late June, early July. You'd kind of shoehorn it in. Maybe. Nope. October. So, not quite half. Okay. Whatever. Not quite. So, Trump got his COVID booster shot on Friday night. While RFK Jr., America's most famous anti-vaxxer, and his HHS secretary restricts Americans' access to vaccines that he hates. During a routine annual checkup, which he said, they have that written on, I think this is Daily Beast, as routine annual checkup. He said semi-annual or biannual at one point. All right. Trump's second of 2025. That's why they have it in quotes, too. Trump received a report of gushing awe from the White House physician, Dr. Sean Barbarella, who...
That sounds really gross.
Sean Barbarella?
No, gushing awe.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe they stuck a cork in it or something. Who claimed the president had the heart of a man 14 years younger. Well, it's certainly not burdened by overuse.
Yeah.
One would think. that Trump's actual age, which is 79. Trump also received 2 shots, an annual flu shot and the COVID-19 booster. That's right. It's something that he's railed against, told everybody else, he said lately he's a big believer in vaccines. Now, why does he actually believe that? Why is that? I'm sorry, I'm going to go live on Instagram. We're a little late on this. I don't know why. It didn't register. So, hi, Instagram. Welcome. Good to see you guys. I don't know why it wasn't playing the first hour.
Today?
Huh? No what?
No Phil today?
No, Phil's on a train. He's going from, I think he's coming back from Lviv to Kyiv. He was on, just to be clear, everybody, nothing, no fear. He went to Lviv to interview some people for On the Edge for his show, and he's going to be there. He was going to be there till today and get back over the weekend so he could post the show and edit it, tomorrow. So he has to travel. This is his travel day. So all is well. Phil is fine for the most part. I mean, as fine as anybody in a war zone can be. Right. We'll talk a little bit about Ukraine stuff, but by and large, the story, obviously, of the week is Trump's alleged eternal peace deal, which should surprise no one, has a lot of temporary roadblocks, I would guess. Roadblocks that would make it temporary? Sure. Okay. Trump is eligible for the COVID booster according to the more limited eligibility guidelines set by Kennedy CDC, which recommends COVID vaccine to people ages 65 and older, as well as younger people with underlying health conditions. It also, 65 and older with underlying health conditions, sounds like the perfect storm for why you would want to get these. Yes? Okay. Kennedy, 71, has made no secret about how much he hates the COVID vaccines. He called them the deadliest vaccine ever made. And so, on his watch, the President of the United States has just taken a dose of the deadliest vaccine ever made, which, by the way, is an odd scale because none of them are deadly or they wouldn't be vaccines. I mean, I don't know. Whatever they give you as a lethal injection could be a life vaccine. Maybe that's what, that would seem to be whatever they stick in your arm to put you to sleep on, in prison. That would be the deadliest vaccine. We're vaccinating you against heartbeats. But for real, there is we shrug off so much of this because, and it's hard not to because it's so absurd. But we shrug off how the fact that the person he put in charge of the CDC says these vaccines are the deadliest vaccines ever made, and Trump just got one. And the president of the United States just got something injected in his arm that the CDC says has a more than 50% chance of killing you, I assume. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. So, this is something where, we've had to deal with Trump for, quite some time. It's just like the routine aspect of BS that we deal with. And this goes to what we were talking about with Richard Chu in the first hour about, the Trump administration, while, beating their chest about these ICE raids and having National Guard sent to stand around areas where ICE are while they send, 20 to 50 people and helicopters to arrest single individuals whom they know are home and could pick them up with just the local police could pick them up. They could, effect a warrant, go pick somebody up, but they bring in, like a squad of paratroopers, effectively, to get these people when it's totally unnecessary. And then the pushback from the neighborhood is, why do we have soldiers all over our streets? And obviously there are two ways to respond to this. One is they just think it's that serious and they don't care about the blowback from the neighborhood because it's such a danger they have to protect America from the threat among us. Or they are intentionally provoking people, hoping somebody will throw something more substantial than a can of soup, and
big bags of soup, and
then they
and when they get caught, they say, "No, this is just soup for my family."
Soup for my family.
That's right.
A can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right?
Yeah. Because you can't throw a brick, right? A brick is...
That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick. It's too heavy.
Okay. Most healthiest president ever, by the way, I'd like to remind you. Can't throw a brick. Healthiest president ever.
He's just like, oh, that's in my head. That should probably come out of my mouth.
Sure, yeah. Well, just like...
Michigan gave us Motang.
Worse than me.
My favorite, and we haven't, Johnny, you and I haven't caught up since the last time our dear Can't Stop Lying grabbed some of these from when Trump was making his old Navy speech.
Salt water in their veins. You have that salt water. Don't let the doctors change it. Keep it. Because there's nothing like it. There's no blood like it.
Yes, that's right. That is salt water is...
What do you think he was trying to say? Because usually he's mangling like some sort of colloquialism.
I agree. That is so nuts.
Never heard.
That's so nuts. It doesn't have a landing zone, right? There's some of these you're like, all right, I could see where he was trying to. He just like crashed into the Andes, but I could see there was a runway.
I remember when he was trying to say that a family was tight knit, and he said well knit.
Yeah, well, I'm from a family that was very well knit. Was yes.
Yeah.
So that he thought it was being like, I don't know, poetic almost.
Salt.
Yeah.
You're gonna frack.
Salt water. Don't let the doctors change it.
That's right. Salt water in your veins. And this was like, he can't swim. Let's just start there. This all comes from he can't swim. He cannot swim. The president the president of the United States of America, Chuck. I'm fed up with you, man. I'm the president of the United States that we have currently, who is not Roosevelt in a wheelchair, can't swim. He cannot swim. He is not capable of swimming. If it goes in any water over the depth of his chin, he will drown. Period. Like, that's weird. I can't think of another president that we've ever had.
He should be buoyant. He really
can't ride a bicycle. Can't ride a bicycle. Dad never taught him. Blah, blah, blah.
Can't drive.
Damage. Can't drive a car. And now it's all computer. So this was my other favorite one.
Anything having to do with sailing the oceans, there's nobody to compete.
You guys are the best sailors on the ocean, I think is what that was supposed to be. The greatest sailors that have ever lived. Nobody can compete. But anything to do with sailing, pulling those ropes, anything, hanging off the side and hammering in the side, fixing things. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Here. Oh, and wait. Oh, no, this one.
Hey, sir, you shouldn't say that. It's too straight to withdraw.
Did you get that one?
Hey, sir, you shouldn't say that. It's too straight to withdraw.
It's too stretchy to withdraw. You shouldn't say that. It's too stretchy to withdraw.
Hey, sir, you shouldn't say that. It's too straight to withdraw.
I did hear him say we took away the First Amendment because it was making a lot of people angry.
Yes. Yeah, that was very popular with the right for about a day before the Qatar thing. And by the way, we got to take a break. Did I breeze past the break because we're having too much fun?
We might be a little late for a break.
Yeah, we might. We'll be back after
the fleet.
It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Megaworldwiide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
The fleet.
Mm-hmm.
You were with us when it was not as nice. You've surged the waters thick and danger blood.
Thick and danger blood.
You've surged the waters thick and danger blood.
Thick and danger blood.
You've surged the waters thick and danger blood.
Thick and danger blood. I don't know if there's a thick in. I think it's thick and danger blood. There's no. That's like a tongue apostrophe. Thick. Like your brain, it's like your tongue just magnetizes to the top of your mouth. All of a sudden, thick. No, I can't talk. I must
People in the chat are saying, "Wait, fleet enema," because there is a fleet enema.
That's what had happened. Like, give me
fleet. The fleet.
Give me
the fleet. The
Give me a fleet.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
All right.
When they gaze upon Yosemite,
Yosemite.
Yeah.
You really overcorrected that one.
Yeah. I forget, CSL. Did you send me acetaminophen hanakanapana? I thought we got that one too. When he messed up acetaminophen.
So that's why he turned the pilot off.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Yes, while the president... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say it's like that I Love Lucy Vegemite. Vegemite.
Yeah. Like,
she gets more and more drunk, taking a spoonful every take of the commercial.
Right. It's because it's got bits of flannel in it. You mean shirt? Why? Because science. Do you ever see a Million Ways to Die in the West? Johnny?
Yes, but I don't know it well enough to pull quotes.
That's the guy who is selling the stomach bitters. Like he's sold stuff and then he's killed by the bull at the state fair because there's just a stampeding bull comes through and just impales him on its horn and runs away. It's so Family Guy. And then there was, and I want to thank the audience, by the way.
You were with us when it was not as nice.
This is chat save me. Vitamita Vegemin.
Vitamita Vegemin. That's right, because it has meat in it. That's right.
It's got meat.
It would be good for the baseball team he was talking to.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular.
Oh my word!
Yeah, that was like a month and a half ago. That was when he had the. Yeah.
It's called sports?
It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular.
Baseball in particular.
I remember what the game we're talking about is now in the middle of while my mouth is making noises. And so.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular.
But the real talk this week was, of course,
free health care for illegal. Look.
Look. The obviously the big story that is really making, while the Trump administration is secretly reporting to the Labor Department that they desperately need illegal immigrants to fill in the workers needed for agriculture, otherwise grocery prices will continue to climb, which they have not gone down. If you notice that they have not gone down, and they have not gone down by a lot, which is the other thing Trump says all the time, by a lot. And oil went down below $60 a barrel, largely because of contracting economic movement, and again, oil is headed for a problem because of China, because the projected oil production in the world, and I want people to hear me on this. The oil companies went, there is a new market opening up about 20 years ago. They were like, China's growth is crazy. And for a decade, China's going to eat our lunch. Remember hearing that all the time? And the expansion, they're making 5 new millionaires a day, whatever. They're a third of the population. Or there are more millionaires in China than there are citizens of the United States. Now, in this telling, there's also 1.1 billion people who are subsistence living, which is the kind of wealth inequality that would shackle a society from any kind of meaningful growth. But remember, that story was going around for a long time. China's growth is just going to be crazy. It'll be this industrial powerhouse. They're going to need all this fuel, and everybody's getting a car. Even the electric car part of it doesn't bother them because the industrial machines still run on oil, and the entire Chinese military. The Navy is bigger than everybody else's because every fishing boat and rowboat is considered a Chinese military vessel if they want it to be. Please, people, simmer down. But all of their big ships, their supercarrier, the one they got from Russia and the one they copied from the one that they got from Russia, run on diesel. So and can only go, 500 miles from shore without a refuel, which means they are not a superpower. That's like one of the things that defines America as a superpower is our nuclear-powered subs and our nuclear-powered battleships and supercarriers. The reason what makes you a world power is you can express your military power anywhere in the world quickly. You could be in the Middle East in a matter of just the time to sail over there, and you could maintain a force there without needing to resupply, but through your own system. That's how you are. That's what defines a superpower in that regard. Russia used to have that power. It turns out they had a lot less of that power than we thought, but they used to have at least a reasonable amount of it. China does not, and the collapse of their economy. And it was nice seeing. I think Peter. What's his name? I'm blitzing on his name, but the guy who talks about Chinese demographics all the time was on Rogan this week, and was basically breaking the news to Rogan. It seems like, oddly, for the first time, Peter Zion, I just remembered, he was on Rogan, and Zion's one of the only people that when I came back from China, I was like, does nobody understand what's happening over there? Like everything when I came, because I bought into the China's going to eat our lunch kind of idea before I started going there on the regular, because I'm looking at it from over here, hearing the news over here, hearing what everybody's telling me, right? And I'd been there before, and it seemed like it was pretty functional then, even though I saw, soldiers that looked like 15-year-olds in their dad's uniform carrying an empty gun, patrolling the streets, mainly just trying, and I didn't realize till later that more than likely they were following me around because I was a foreigner. They were literally assigned to me. And they would stand on the street corner or whatever direction I was coming, and somebody else would leapfrog to the next intersection. So they're standing there watching you walk by. That's a real thing that happens. They absolutely do that. They don't even shy away from it. It's just a reality.
Insane.
Yeah. And but like after I spent a decent amount of time there, I was like, oh yeah, this is a myth. This is absurd. Like this is none of what I'm hearing is true. I'm seeing this up close. I'm seeing the buildings in Shanghai that are covered in lights, but are empty. That the shopping mall on the bottom floor has a few perfunctory shops in it, almost for keeping up appearances. But the next floor of the shopping mall is completely vacant, and there's dust on the floor, like they stopped mid-construction. There's a guy guarding the elevator to go up to the office towers, and you can see from the street there's no furniture through the windows.
Sure.
First floor after floor after floor. And so there was this illusion, if you came over there and you just squinted, you didn't really take a good look at the place, or you came in and they gave you the dog and pony show, which they do very well. Watch anybody who's taken over there and given the walk around, whether it's our congressional leaders or industry guys or whatever. Man, it's like a movie set. It's like there are extras and all that kind of stuff around you just to the edge of the camera. And then anything past, it's like or a video game where it doesn't res past your visual sight. Like when you're playing Call of Duty, the entire map isn't visible. Only the part where you're looking, right? It literally reses as you look. It's kind of like that. And so they make sure of it. They put on this big performative thing. And the guys on the China show, Serpent's Head A and Lao Y86 and the other folks talk about this. It's not just me. And it's very real and it feels very strange when you're there for any length of time, especially if you speak the language.
Can't imagine.
When you speak the language, you hear things that the other people won't hear. Not only can you not see past what they want you to see, but anything that's said around you that counteracts what you're saying, like, okay, he can't go down that road because there's construction, because there was a fire last night because a bunch of workers got mad and set fire to it. Like, if you can't hear them say that to each other because you don't speak the language, then you don't know that you're being had, right? So there's a ton of that. So but the oil companies especially were looking at China and salivating as the next big market. Even if Europe curtails, and the United States curtail our oil usage for gasoline and then end up doing electric cars, the idea is that the population of China alone, and in the limited availability of the electrical grid over there, that will drive it so that we can make all the money we've ever made with the United States and Europe there by ourselves. The Saudis thought this. The Russians may have had a little more of an honest view of it. That's why they focused on Europe. Like, they knew what was happening behind the scenes because they're very spy heavy themselves. They don't trust anybody.
They're spy heavy.
Yep. But the U.S., the South American, and the Middle Eastern oil companies all had this idea that China's going to have this pop. And wow, we're going to sell so much oil to this country now that it's going to triple what we need for the rest of the world already as it starts to dwindle. Well, guess what? Nope. That's not happening. The demographic collapse that China is headed towards, the limited ability for them to, expand their industrial base based on just the amount of workers they're going to have, much less the idea that the Chinese government ever wants anybody's lifestyle to get to the point where everybody's got access to a diesel generator where they don't have power out in the hinterlands of China, which is 70% of the country. People are running off of diesel generators, but there's like 1 for 4 houses and they only run it part of the days. Or they're getting a bunch of these knockoff solar panels that aren't selling to the rest of the world, and they're using those. So it's they're like almost mud hut living or near collapsed old industrial buildings and covered, with like loosely tied together solar panels, which is, by the way, exactly how you would do it if your government wasn't helping you at all and the basic society around you was falling. I mean, that's what you do. So those folks are being incredibly industrious and incredibly forward-thinking in using what's available to them to do it. But it seems like, and we'll see what this, obviously the market is still reacting as if, well, they know that at least temporarily, the stuff that we have to get from China, there's no fast and cheap way to do that. There just isn't. And it's going to make things more expensive here. And you just, at a certain point, you're almost going to need a leader who comes in and goes, hey, folks, if you want manufacturing here, if you want labor done by Americans or automation created by Americans, it's going to cost a lot more, period. It just is. Because you're not going to do it, period. So I'm being honest with you. I'm being honest with you.
And that's the only thing they ever claim to be patient about. Like, well, it'll take some time. Oh, this you're fine waiting for.
Right, exactly. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. You have to what? You have to what?
I said Vegemite.
Vegemite. He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. And he said, do you come from a land down under? Thank you.
Hydrosonic. I call it super duper.
You do not.
Nobody says, do you have one of those super duper planes?
This is Damian Perdue of Think Theory Radio. Saturdays at 6 p.m. You're listening to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Our army manned the airport. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
So, just speaking of Joe Rogan finally waking up to some things lately, like he's apparently reacted to the ICE raids. Is like anybody with a heart seeing this is, doesn't like what they're seeing. Like, yeah.
Oh, wow, he doesn't approve?
No, he does not. There was a big. I'll see if I can find that one as well, or you might be able to find it on your Sky I like posted somewhere on there. But yeah, it's a very distinct issue. That like he was like, well, he said people, anybody with a heart isn't gonna like this. I'm like, anybody with a head isn't gonna like it. I just spent a half hour explaining to people why it doesn't matter how you feel about it. The material reality, your heart can't outrun gravity. You cannot write new laws of physics because you are mad at a group of people, because you don't like the New York Times. You moron. It doesn't work that way. It never will. And that's one of the things that we do have on our side. I will say this, that there is there is an upside to all this, is that regardless, regardless of the potential, I suppose, for people, like waking up to this on the right, or independents shifting our way or whatever, our languaging about this has to get clearer and clearer eyed about this. And it has to be gravity based, because they are so in the stratosphere, in fantasy land, that when we call it a cult, it isn't just about the fact that that maggots will do anything Trump says, which, by the way, is falling to the wayside, and about the Qatar thing, and I want to talk about that too. We have so much that it's hard, But and they can break from them. But you know what? People quit Scientology too. People left Waco before the fight. People left Jonestown without drinking the Kool-Aid. People break out of a cult. That doesn't make it any less of a cult. But one of the reasons why it's a cult is because it's based on fantastical, ridiculous ideas beyond even the normal structure of faith involved in a polytheistic or monotheistic religion. That's where, at least scribes over the centuries have kicked the tires a few times and gone, can God create a rock that's too big for him to lift? If he can do anything, why can't he do that? Those kind of like Hulk versus Superman conundrums that are, you need a bunch of scriveners sitting around thinking this stuff through philosophically. But a cult doesn't bother. They're just like, okay, everybody, shoes off. Cool. All right, Gary, pass out the knives. What are these for? You're going to be leaving your testicles here, right? They're not, we can't have testicles on the spaceship. So, okay, if you say so, boss, right? So, but their stuff is so fantastical, especially in an economic sense, that there's no way they don't come to this conclusion. The question is, do they realize it, before it's too late?
Right.
Now, I am one of these people. I never believe anything is too late. In terms of systems, obviously, if someone has passed away, unless their mom was a virgin, I don't think they have it real. It's probably too late. Right? But they probably aren't coming back. It's probably too late to expect anything to change, theoretically. But there a bunch of these like economic ideas that Trump has are so ridiculous, and he sold them to maggots so hard that even their simple, obvious realization of gravity that I showed earlier, they have to do under cover of night effectively. It's a giant report. This report to the the Labor Department, or that they sent to the Labor Department. This is Brooke Rollins, the Agricultural Secretary, wrote this. This is like, she came to the conclusion that everybody's going to come to in this circumstance. The consumer price index was up almost 3 points in August, which is not down. It's not down at all, but it's also on top of the price index of last year, when they said it was intolerable and couldn't go any further and it's going to destroy the country. We were a dead country, partly because of inflation, was what Trump was selling. So, and it's 2.9% over that. And by the way, these are numbers from people who want the numbers to be better than they are. So again, we're dealing with a propaganda problem as well, because what they're saying behind the scenes versus what they're saying in public, the distance is growing by the day. So here's one of the big stories, and this one, I gotta say, it took me so long to get to this, but oh my God. So Trump gets a plane from Qatar, signs a $5.5 billion deal to put a golf course in Qatar. After calling them the biggest funder of terrorism in the world. And this week, good old Pete Hegseth announces that Qatar is going to have an Air Force facility with 15 of their planes inside our base in Idaho. Yeah. Idaho, no Udaho, Pete, because this is that's exactly what this is. He announced, I'm also proud today that we're signing a letter of acceptance to build a Qatari Emory Air Force facility at the Mountain Home Air Base in Idaho. Now, I'm sure the people of Idaho, were clamoring to have Qatari military hanging around their cities and towns, going to movie theaters, eating at local restaurants, and what have you. Alongside our military personnel and being on our base where I guess so the idea is Chinese balloon flying above bad that you can block with radio waves so that it can't read or see anything and you can hide anything when you know it's going to pass over, like we do with satellites. That's bad. But parking Qatari aircraft in Idaho and training their pilots, fine. Now, obviously, Maggot response to this was hot and heavy. This guy who calls himself the General, who for the record ain't, says we're in the middle of rolling out military across the entire USA, and then bringing in a non-NATO country military of the USA is treason. U.S. and Qatar signed deal to open a Qatari Air Force facility in the U.S. at Mountain Home Air Force Base, Idaho, he wrote. Amy Meck wrote, is this what shared defense goals means now, or just the latest way our politicians get paid to sell out our country? Well, guess what, dummy? And then, of course, Laura Loomer went on the biggest tirade. She posted 40 responses to this. Well, I guess this is going to happen. I guess this isn't going to happen since we just gave the Muslim Brotherhood an airbase in Idaho. So much for my decade worth of hard work trying to protect Americans from the threat of Islamic terror. No foreign country should have a military base on U.S. soil, especially Islamic countries. I've never felt more betrayed by the GOP. And I noticed she says GOP. But sorry, I think I missed the part where while they've been out of session, while the government is shut down to avoid releasing the Epstein files, that Mike Johnson, and the House Republicans through committee wrote a bill, authorizing this facility in the Mountain View Air Base, and it went to the Senate. They made a couple of tweaks, sent it to Trump, and he signed his big stupid signature on it and held it up like it was a baby who'd gone boom boom in his diaper. I missed that whole cycle. It looks to me like Trump told Pete to do it, and Pete did what he was told. GOP. Yeah. This isn't the GOP. This I would, by and large, this is one of the things I was bringing up earlier, is that a Democrat would be well suited to file at least craft a bill that says, as soon as Mike Johnson brings the House back into session, I am introducing this bill to block the Qataris from having an air base within our air base, because of their funding for terrorism and all this kind of stuff. We appreciate their help in negotiating the peace deal and the like or whatever, but this is a bridge too far, I think, for most people, and certainly for the people of Idaho, from what I've heard. So we're going to push back on this. And we at least want, heavy limits on what they can do, right? I think easy way to like make a point. Honestly, Democrats, this is an easy layup. It really is. It's no offense, Qatar, but that's not what we do, because we don't want to set a precedent. It's nothing personal. Don't worry, you still get Trump Course 1, and you still get to spy on him in his airplane afterwards when he starts flying around with Matt Gaetz after he pardons Joel Greenberg on his way out of jail or out of office. Weird. Yeah. So he goes, then I do now watching Islamic jihadists get away with implementing Sharia law in the U.S., and now they're getting their own air base where they train to kill Americans. Now, I don't think they're going to be training to kill Americans necessarily, But and I would argue that this isn't even the worst part
That's
of
a
the deal.
transferable skill.
Yeah, it is. You just put the patch on somebody else. Like, he looks American to me, right? For America to be attacked by Islamic savages from Qatar, the biggest funders of Islamic terror in the entire world, which is, by the way, almost a direct quote from what Trump said. So much so, the Saudis and Emiratis find Qatar to be toxic. Whenever a Qatari airplane flies overhead, they blast that Britney Spears song. I need to see how much more of my life I'm going to dedicate to a party that won't address the threat of Islam in the West. The betrayal stings. We are losing our country, in all caps. She says she's not even going to vote in 2026. That'll help. Yeah, exactly. That'll do it. But again, this is a pretty big deal. Now, there's I'll see if I can find this too. The Security Pact. U.S. whatever this has got to be I'm going to dedicate. You know what? I'm going to take a break a moment early since we've been so late on the other ones. And when we come back, oh boy, I've got a gift for the maggots. This is just for you. This one's for you, wherever you are. We'll be back right after this. Yeah. Wait till you read section 2 of this thing. Wait.
This thing.
Wait. Just wait.
I don't get it. Assuring security. What do they have on him?
Right. Copies. Well, he's got a $5.5 billion. This is a good question, but $5.5 billion golf course. But they also, the Middle East is now the crypto farming place in the world because deserts don't have earthquakes, by and large. And so they are steady places to build chip factories or do high computation stuff. That's why they were building that line thing. It wasn't going to be a city. It was going to be basically a series of office towers with computers in them. And
how do you get water to them?
Well, they would desalinize it from the ocean because it would cut all the way across. That was the whole thing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So, but and there are areas where there's plenty of water. They just have to, reroute stuff. But the point is, it's the steadiness of the space.
Back in 15.
Thank you. And they also don't care about the heat dissipation in the desert. It doesn't matter. Right? You just vent it out to the thing. You're not going to kill trees or, ruin the grass for 100 miles, right? If you downwind from one of these things, you just vent it. You use wind and you push it all through.
I am happy, you are happy. Let us be happy together, whether the weather is cloudy or sunny. I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky. Let us get lucky together, whether the weather is cloudy or breezy. I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. Because isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you, chugga chugga choo choo, woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling. Let us smile together, whether the weather is cloudy or stormy. I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Yay!
So, a couple of happy, very pleasant news. The first one is, of course, that Johnny Million will be live streaming on his Twitch and YouTube channels after the show today. So we're gonna raid him, send the audience that's in the chat room over there to play with you a little bit. And then the other one is that Summer and I went last night and we saw. Oh crap! It doesn't move the image up like that. We saw Steve Martin and Martin Short. Yeah, there it is. Together, the Dukes of Funnytown. I don't know why they call it that. I think they're just being silly. Overall, they sell a shirt that says the Dukes of Funnytown.
That's pretty good.
I saw them and I think the t-shirt says something like, I saw them and they were there, and they basically spend the entire time insulting each other, which is it's basically like a long running roast. And if you haven't had a chance to check it out and it comes anywhere near you, I recommend it very highly. This is our second time seeing it. It's changed a little bit, like they've added new stuff a little bit, but yeah, it's pretty lovely. And this, I think the one thing they added to this that's different than the others is that they eulogize each other because they don't want to miss the opportunity. You never get to hear your own eulogy. You can't appreciate it. So they have two spotlights on stage, and they just go back and forth eulogizing one or the other, like they're at each other's funeral, and start reading like stuff about them. It's another take on them just insulting each other. It's just another like format for that, but it works really well. So funny. Yeah, and Steve plays banjo and plays with the Steep Canyon Rangers, and they play a couple of songs. And Jeff Babcoa, this is the piano player. He's on Kimmel's show with our good friend Toshi. So it's a great show. Yeah, it's lovely. So we went and saw them last night, and Summer got me tickets for my birthday, so we went, and that's when the show was. So it was lovely. It was nice. Okay,
pretty adorable.
So it's pretty adorable. This, but I have a gift. Oh boy, I have a gift for the maggots, man. This is this is what you voted for, people. This is it. This is a presidential action, an executive order, assuring the security of the state of Qatar. This is by the authority vested in me as President of the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, and in recognition of the enduring alliance between the United States and the state of Qatar, which we have a military base there, but they also let Hamas have offices there. So I don't like. Okay. They're trying to be like Switzerland if Switzerland was in the gun trade. Okay. So over the years, the United States and the state of Qatar have been bound together by close cooperation, shared interests, and the close relationship between our armed forces. No. That's been a late development, and it does not have the legs of, say, our relationship with England or France or Germany, let's say.
Over the years.
Yeah, over the years. The years you've been in office making a deal to have a golf course there. But here's the other part. This is who cares what they say about it? This is what it means. Section 2, our commitment. This is an executive order from Donald Trump. And I send this out to the maggots out there. Here you go, guys. You can start humming the Star Spangled Banner right now as I read it if you feel good about that. The United States shall regard any armed attack on the territory, sovereignty, or critical infrastructure of the state of Qatar as a threat to the peace and security of the United States.
Okay.
Sorry, Canada. You'll have to be 52. And sorry, Idaho, Trump would do more to defend the state of Qatar than he would Idaho. So here's Section B of that. In the event of such an attack, the United States shall take all lawful and appropriate measures, including diplomatic, economic, and if necessary, military, boots on the ground, people, to defend the interests of the United States and the state of Qatar and to restore peace and stability. That's right. If anybody attacks Qatar, terrorist group, or another country, Iran, any of that stuff, we are at war. That's what that means. Just like it was America. Trump would respond to an attack on Qatar I guarantee, more than he would respond to an attack on Puerto Rico. Guaranteed.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. The Secretary of War in coordination with the Secretary of State.
He would go out of his way to say how Puerto Rico had it coming, and had they not done this, everything would be fine.
Yeah. And the Director of National Intelligence shall maintain joint contingency planning with the state of Qatar to ensure a rapid and coordinated response to any foreign aggression against the state of Qatar. We are now patrolling their airspace effectively and responding to any threat that might come their way. Secretary of State shall reaffirm this assurance to the state of Qatar and coordinate with allies and partners to ensure complementary measures of support. The Secretary of State shall continue to partner with the state of Qatar as and when appropriate for conflict resolution and mediation in recognition of the state of Qatar's extensive diplomatic and mediation experience, which is really what you're doing, is like buy off Hamas. What they mean is like we want to bribe the leaders of Hamas to bug out. The ones that have been living as billionaires while puppeting Yahya Sinwar and all that crowd inside Gaza and causing all this trouble. Like, those people, they're not going to go back to Gaza. They never intended to live there in the first place. But, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pay those guys $1 billion to sell out what's left of Hamas after, Israel has finished bombing, because that's the only difference. The only difference between this deal and the one Biden was offering was 10 months of bombing. That's the only difference. Right? It was just Israel was going to continue the action until they felt they had met their objectives, no matter who was in office. And if Biden was in office, this would be the same deal being made right now, because time's up. They're done. Like, there's no more of this can be solved with just bombing. It will either have to be, like security forces in sectors, like police actions inside the strip. It just doesn't. That's the only reason this is happening now. It really is. And so they paid, billions of dollars. I guarantee it. We did. The U.S. government and the taxpayer paid the leaders of Hamas billions of dollars to give up the last 20 hostages, probably $1 billion apiece, just like we paid $20 billion to Argentina to prop up their currency. And then they'll release them, and then Israel can say something happened and go back to bombing anything that they have left over, and then Trump can build Trump Plaza Gaza. That's what's going on here. The idea that this is a peace plan is just absurd. I hope the hostages. Yeah, I hope the hostages get home. Absolutely. Like, that should have been the singular priority anyways. One of the reasons why you don't do massive bombings. You constantly negotiate and release and that whole thing. But again, Hamas didn't have any reason to release them unless they're just bugging out. And that's what's happening. And we paid them to do it, and Qatar's probably covering it up for us, or part of the payment scheme because of a deal they made elsewhere, and they want to make other deals. And the Abraham Accords are really a financial and real estate deal. So they want that to continue, because that's again, oil is dying, along with the price of oil going down. Doesn't just affect us, or doesn't just affect Russia. The Middle East's entire worth financially comes from oil.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. They have the resource curse worse than anyone. And the Saudis have recognized that's coming to an end. But the Saudis have two things. They have Mecca and Medina. And they know that all the Muslims in the world have to make the trip there at least once in their life. Many do it multiple times. And you can build a tourism industry off of that many people, 1 billion people having to make their way to your country and expecting it to be nice. And the religiously fervent who, the kind of people who build up the Vatican, who will pay more into the country to make sure that it's beautiful and elegant when they go there. Mm-hmm. They know they've got that in their back pocket. And they've got, like crypto mining and fintech stuff to do that, like the Cayman Islands and Switzerland. And that's their other backdoor. But the rest of these countries, nothing. What we get from oil to electric cars, primarily, where all consumer vehicles, like regular vehicles, are using electric, and that electric can be generated through renewables in any country that they're in. That's it. That's the end of the power structure in the Middle East as we know it. It might take 5 years. It might take 10. It might happen in a big shock overnight. But that's where we're going. And so Trump's making deals with these rich countries because of their fintech and their crypto industries. So implementation. All executive departments and agencies shall take appropriate steps consistent with the law to implement this order. All executive departments. Nothing in this order considered to impair otherwise affect the authority granted by law, the executive department or agency thereof. So a lot of this is the deflationary stuff that it's at the bottom of all executive orders. It all says this. It doesn't affect the effects of the director of the Office of Management and Budget, but it's in the military budget they gave him. So it doesn't matter. The funding in the military that's discretionary based on threats and allies is so watery, he can do whatever he wants. He really can. And so to all those folks out there who think it doesn't matter who you vote for, that both sides do the same thing. Not only are you...
Man, every time I hear both sides, I get so heated.
Not only are you incredibly stupid, but you are actively handing over billions of dollars and military equipment to that folly, to that absurd notion. And the idea that Kamala Harris would have said, like, did you ever hear her say Harris Plaza Gaza? Did you? Do you know that Trump took off?
They want to what about her so bad.
Oh man, do you want? And the weird thing is like this, I'm talking about people allegedly on our side of the aisle. Yeah. That anywhere even close to that? Anywhere even close? You may not have liked it 100%, but adults don't always get 100% of what they like, especially in a democracy where we have to share our country with other people. But there's a huge difference between, there's center right or center left, and that argument about where and what issues and whether that even qualifies versus this. We'll see you next week. Johnny Million, have a great stream, my brother. You're amazing and talented and wonderful.
I'm going to need just a minute, everybody.
I'll give you a minute. Don't worry about it. And thanks, Chicago, and thanks to Richard Chu for coming and visiting from Canada, or as the Chinese say, Canada. That's how you say Canada in Chinese. You know how you say Chicago? Zhejiaguo. You know how you say Kentucky? Kendaji. You know what that means? Bite the big chicken. There. It really does. Sometimes the fates and language line up. 再见.
You gotta bite the big.
下一次见. That means bye. See you next time. Thank you, Chicago.
Thanks, guys.
All right, I'm gonna go hustle.
Yeah.
Hydrosonic. I
call it
super duper.
Super stupid. Super stupid.
The fleet. The fleet.
Oh yeah.
Hate.
Yeah. Appreciate you. Right. See you later on. I'll let you out of the screen. Don't leave yet. Don't go anywhere. Now you can go.
Okay.
Try to put on a decent show here. For God's sake. For God darn. Who's it, Mr. Singleton? This is one of those days where there's so many stories and there's so much going on, and the depth of those stories is so murky. There's so many details that I could rabbit hole any part of it. It's maddening, but I have limited time and I have commercial breaks, obviously, during the show, and so it's a really strange thing to just go like, how do I get back to where we were talking about? Because all these details matter, right? And thank you guys. Yes, thanks a bunch. In China, called Coke bite the wax tadpole. Yeah, my favorite Coke translation story was, of course, Diet Coke. From their Coke is Life campaign, that had like family, friends, Coke is life, right? That was they just used these staggered, phrases, just kind of ideas, almost poetically. And the billboards in, I want to say I think it was Japan, but it might have been Korea now that I think of it. But it was Japan. It was Japan. It said. If you read them literally, the billboard said, Diet Coke, it brings your ancestors back from the dead. For real. Thank you, Noah. Thank you guys so much. And don't forget to hit the like and share the show and look at the clips and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. I never talk about that stuff when I'm doing the show. I mean, other people, I got to give them credit. They're like fucking machines. They're really good at it. Thank you, Candy. Happy birthday to your baby. Aw. Happy birthday to them too. Oh, Trent. Happy birthday. 27. That's the year of his Saturn return. It's a big year. Your life plateaus or starts to go up or down. That's the whole thing about the 27 Club, is the idea that when Saturn's back in the place it was when you were born, which takes 27 years, suddenly you go through this big maturation process. So all the best. Tell him to start setting his goals on his birthday. Set his yearly goals. Do yearly goals and set them on your birthday. Just get at it. I'm telling you. Are you getting rush tickets? I absolutely am getting rush tickets. Okay, Johnny's live? Cool. Well, we will jump over there. CSL, do you have the raid? Can you take care of the raid on both of those, or shall I jump over there and open it up? I don't have Twitch open on my end. Yeah. Yes, Rush has a new drummer, and she's a lady. Oh, 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 she's a lady. Mm-hmm. And the lady is Geddes. The question is, which song choice? Yes, I see that, Andrea. I'm just seeing if... okay, well then I will jump in, and I'll see if... Hold on, I jump in here in Twitch, and I'll throw it his way. I'll see if... Hold on, I jump in here in Twitch, and I'll throw it his way. Echo being what it is.
M for mature.
Shut up. Be quiet. I forgot. It has to be in the Chrome browser. I'm such a big dummy. I'm so crazy as person to doing. This being the things, you know. We go in this things with here, go doing the creator dashboards. This is my other, like when things are broken, I do English accent. When things are working, but I'm doing other stuff, I'm like, I do funny voice. That means something's the doings. There we are going. To, there we go. Start the raid. He's starting soon. We're going to start this raid. Yeah. So the raid is about to start on, yes. Oh, you already did it. Okay. 14. There's 14 more, so I'm doing a secondary raid. I'll just raid now. There you go. It's rated. There you go. Okay, so he's starting. Look at him with it. Look at. Oh, can I just be proud of Johnny for a second? Look at him with his little like starting soon graphics that he got from. Who you think it was? Streamlabs. Oh, it's not OMD. What's that? Yeah, he's setting up on YouTube. Excellent. I remember when I was like downloading, trying to find like graphics for my stream before I had a chance to make any, and I was like, all these streamers they just use all these prepackaged things. They all look so cool, so I'm gonna use some of them too. And then I was like, nah, I'll make my own because it's what I do. Because you gotta be you gotta be hands on. You know what I mean? You gotta get involved with your stuff. Now I gotta leave because we're going to I think we're going to the UNLV game because Ethan is videoing it, so we usually go and watch the game when he's going to be there too. So bye. Enjoy Johnny, and I appreciate you guys more than you know, and thank you guys for all the support, and you're fantastic, and all that other stuff. And I'll see you guys on Monday from an undisclosed location. If indeed. Well, who knows? It's very difficult to figure out. Well, now I've got to turn the song on. Hold on one second. I want to play my new Maximum Overdrive song. I've made an AI song for Fried AI about toasters going crazy and your appliances killing you. Called Maximum Overdrive. Tip to Stephen King. Enjoy, Johnny.
The fridge hums low, the lights flicker bright. Microwave's got a mind tonight. The thermostat whispers in the dark. Charging port spark like a steel heart. The toaster's on, the kettle screams, the coffee maker's brewing skin. Maximum overdrive. They've come alive. Wires twist, machines won't thrive. Circuit snap, we won't survive. It's the rise of the high maximum overdrive. violence in its roar. TV's no longer for keeping score. The washing machine's in a spin of rage. Blender sharp teeth escape the cage. The oven plots, the curtain shake. Every gadget wide.